Hey, welcome everyone to this Fireside chat with Surbhi Sarna, entrepreneur, healthcare investor, and the author of the upcoming book, Without a Doubt. My name is Chidroop, and I'm excited to be your moderator for today's conversation. As a graduate fellow and startup coach at the Entrepreneurship Center at UCI, I have deep interest in the healthcare and innovation sector. I'm thrilled to be discussing this topic with Surbhi, who has had an impressive career in this space. Surbhi is the founder of nVision Medical, a medical startup that developed a life-saving medical device to detect early ovarian cancer. The company was later sold for $275 million, and Surbhi went on to become a partner at Y Combinator, one of the most successful venture firms in the world. She is also a frequent speaker on entrepreneurship and invention and has been featured in various media outlets. Today, we'll be discussing Surbhi's book, Without a Doubt. We'll also be diving into the role of AI in healthcare and ethical considerations surrounding its use. So without further ado, let's get started with our first question. So, hey Surbhi, so can you tell us more about your personal journey as an entrepreneur and healthcare investor? How has it inspired you to write your book, Without a Doubt?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and to speak with you today. And so thank you so much again for having me. So for me, my entrepreneurial journey began when I was in high school. I all of a sudden felt so much pain on my side that I barely found where my mom was, who's standing in the kitchen at the time, and passed out. I barely could say to her that my side hurt before I did. And the next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital. And I remember waiting there for hours and then finally being rolled in to get surgery done for appendicitis. And only last minute did the surgeon realize that it was in fact not appendicitis and that there was something else that was ailing me. Within a week or so, we figured out that I was suffering from repeat complex ovarian cysts. But what they couldn't tell me for months is whether or not those cysts were cancerous. So from the lengthy wait times to the lack of therapeutic options, I realized that one day I wanted to start a company in healthcare and was hoping to improve the healthcare system. So after that, I went to UC Berkeley, go UCs, and studied molecular and cell biology. I did research in bioengineering. And then after that, worked at a large corporation and then a smaller startup.
Okay.
And the whole time I kind of thought to myself, everything that I'm learning, how does this apply to entrepreneurship? Because I had that bug that I wanted to start a company when I was so young.
Yeah.
Then after leading that company for 7 years, it was acquired by Boston Scientific. And then again, I wanted a job that would really allow me to pay forward everything that I learned.
Okay.
And being at Y Combinator is a great way to invest in cutting edge technologies and healthcare outside the field. And so it's been fantastic.
Okay, that must have been one scary ride. And yeah, that's actually great. And I can totally relate with you, especially with the law. When you told, right, it's a scary situation to be in the beginning when you, especially with the diagnosis phase, right, where you don't know what's going on, you're kind of waiting around. Yep, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in Without a Doubt, can you talk about using doubt as a rocket fuel to achieve your dreams? Can you share an example of a time when you faced doubt or skepticism and how you turned it into this driving force for success?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a whole book called Without a Doubt. It's being published by Simon and Schuster next week on March 7th. It'll be released. Actually, I don't know when the podcast is coming out, but on Tuesday, March 7th is the big launch date of it. And the reason I wrote that book is because I feel like so many people who really want to do something meaningful with their lives face doubt. They face doubt from other people. They face doubt from themselves. For me, when I was getting started, I heard so much about how women's health isn't a big enough market, even though we're 50% of the population. I had family members telling me that I should be real and that I should keep on, the normal jobs that I had. I had somebody who, while I was at a booth for a conference, came up to my table and said, "Oh, this device looks interesting," and then looked over my shoulder and asked me where the CEO was. So again and again, I felt that doubt. But the key thing is that I believe that I was building something that people really, really wanted.
Okay.
And if you know that you're building something that people really want, you are able to kind of push through that doubt and continue, So I think the key part is just remembering why you're doing what you're doing in the first place, And if you want to do it badly enough, you can often override that. The other more general way that it helps to have a little bit of doubt is that it puts a chip on your shoulder. It makes you feel like you have something to prove to everybody else. And that can also be a very strong driving force.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So it's really nice the way you were kind of able to use uh, doubt to kind of like fuel your entire journey. That's a pretty different kind of take I've heard. At least this is the first time I've heard it. Okay, that's actually cool. Okay,
yeah, it's like you can either choose to let it get you down, or you can really do something about it and push it forward, And I think that ultimately what you should do is not let it, drag you back. It has to be something that you say, you know what, you just gave me another reason. You just gave me another person to prove wrong on this journey, and I'm going to do exactly that.
Okay, yeah. That's so cool. So also, I was just thinking about this. So writing a book often involves a lot of reflecting on past experiences and memories. So during this process, did you come across any memories where you felt you could have done something differently? If so, how did you come to terms with those feelings, and what did you learn from these experiences?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really great question. Writing a book that reflects on your entrepreneurial journey or anything that has to do personally with your life is absolutely a grueling experience. And I think a big reason why it's a grueling experience is that if you're trying to write an honest book, and my book is very honest, my friends say it feels like being in conversation with me. I'm not trying to pick myself up and put myself on a pedestal or have it be a victory lap book. This is just a book about me getting beat down again and again, and then just being able to pick back up and keep moving forward,
Yeah.
And while it's hard to reflect on things where you made mistakes, I ultimately think that's what makes you a better person, a better leader, and, more able to chase your dreams. So absolutely, it was extremely hard to face many of the places where I made a lot of big mistakes. But ultimately, I'm so glad that I did, because I think that it just made me stronger as I moved into this next phase.
Hey, that sounds very interesting. Yeah. So, in addition to being an entrepreneur and CEO, you are also an advocate for women entrepreneurship, right? What steps do you think we can take to promote greater diversity and inclusion in the startup world?
I mean, that's another huge reason that I wrote this book. I wanted there to be one more example of someone who is, both a daughter of immigrants, and, a woman, going after her dreams, regardless of what the obstacles are, And I think that the way to attract more and more people to the field of entrepreneurship who are diverse is to have more and more diverse leaders willing to get up there, willing to share their stories, willing to share their fears and their doubts, and just letting them know that, hey, if I can do it, so can you. I look just like you. I had the same exact doubts that you did. I had the same self-doubt. I didn't believe in myself 100% of the time. I believed in myself just enough to keep pushing forward and get through those hurdles.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So, I mean, you must have faced like many challenges where you had like uh, people looking down, or people like second guessing. I guess that's what you said. So using that doubt and then taking all these factors into account. Yeah, I think people should read the book to really understand what that means and what that entails.
Yeah, and I think that another important piece of this is that, we're focusing a lot on what the doubters and that people that doubt your ability to do something. Yeah. And I think that a key piece of it, though, is to remember that you don't need everybody to believe in you. You don't need a million yeses. Okay. You don't need to be popular. You just need a couple of people, a few people who are true believers in you and your dreams and what you need to achieve. That's it. The power of just one person believing in you goes so far. You definitely don't need like everybody to say, okay, yeah, you can do this. You need your own self-belief, and then you need just a couple of other people who are willing to support you in your journey. And that combination of things just gets you so far, right? So the book is about doubt, and the book is about kind of how to push through that doubt. But also in the book, I very much highlight everybody who believed in me and everybody who, really went out of their way to help me. And hopefully you too will also have that combination.
Yeah.
The combination of doubters and the combination of believers. And it's the combination, both of them are fuel forward, right?
Okay, yeah, I completely agree. So you don't need validation from everyone. You just need the couple who kind of believe in your entire vision, right? Yeah, you see that. Yeah. So just to go off on a different tangent a little bit, right? So with all the AI advancements and with how the industry is moving forward, as a healthcare investor, you've likely seen many advances in artificial intelligence and its potential applications in healthcare. What is your take on the ethics of using AI in healthcare, and what implications do you see for the future of like medical practice and patient care?
When it comes to AI and patient care, for me, the kind of part that you have to be careful about is the same part that you've always had to be careful about when it comes to patients, which is their data and how do you use data and how do you keep it safe and that sort of thing, and who owns it ultimately. So I don't know if there's anything intrinsic about AI. Now, the way that I feel about generative AI and machine learning is that I'm so excited about the implications. I'm so excited about the implications on drug discovery. Okay. Now we're going to be able to use AI to do things that used to take us, a year on the bench, a year in the lab. Maybe we'll get it down to, a week of AI figuring it out for us. So I think that just the implications are limitless. Also, right now, so much depends on the memory of the physician. Yeah. When they're treating a patient, they have to remember, oh yeah, I read about one case where this happens and that sort of thing. But imagine artificial intelligence looking at a patient's symptom and then telling you what the outcomes might be. Yeah. I mean, that's incredible, right? And so at least it produces a checklist or a first stab at what a doctor really needs to pay attention to, right? So when it comes to the initial discovery of new technologies, new drugs, I'm really excited about AI. When it comes to the delivery of care, I'm excited about AI. I just think that the potential applications are limitless and wonderful.
Okay, yeah. And any comments on the ethical part of it, like the way we use AI, the way we kind of, because this is a field which is going to shape how our tomorrow looks, right? And we are in power right now to kind of define the way it kind of moves. So as a Y Combinator partner, do you tell your startups that this is the direction, or do you have any notes on that?
Yeah, I feel like most of the entrepreneurs that I work with in healthcare are a self-selecting group where they really want to do things for the good of humanity, the good of medicine, the good of patients. So I don't necessarily feel like I have to tell them much because they're self-guiding in that way. Okay. But I think that, scientists and technologists and engineers since the dawn of time have had this heavy responsibility of making sure that whatever they invent is safe, and then as much as they can use safely, right?
Okay.
And in a lot of cases, the technology, especially when you think about wartime and weapons and bombs and that sort of thing, were not used for good, So I think it's a great question that you ask. We always have to be aware of what the implications are of new technologies. And I mean, I do sense that many of the big AI companies are trying to do things as carefully as possible.
Yes, for sure.
And
Yes.
yeah, hopefully there aren't too many missteps coming up. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Something we'll definitely have to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, so you've been a partner at Y Combinator, one of the most successful venture firms in the world. What trends do you see shaping the startup landscape in the coming years? How do you think entrepreneurs can best position themselves for success?
Yeah. I see lots of trends, in healthcare specifically. I'm seeing a lot more at home diagnostics, which I think is very cool, making anything that empowers the patient to find out more about their own data, to have them find out more about their own data and therefore empower them to make their own choices, I think is incredible. And I've seen definitely more AI and machine learning when it comes to doing everything from processing x-rays.
Yeah.
You could use machine learning to look at 100 x-rays in a minute, something like that, right? And to drug discovery as well. And I am finding that more and more people think that entrepreneurship is for them, especially with the big layoffs at these major companies and that sort of thing. I think more people are saying, well, what if I took my own career and my own security into my own hands? So we're definitely seeing this burst of entrepreneurship. We're seeing a lot more applications come our way. I think it's a really exciting time to be a founder, when there's a
Yeah, for
recession.
sure. Yes.
And yeah, when there's a recession, it's like no one's expecting the market to improve greatly or get back to a boom cycle for another 7 to 10 years. And that could be the time where your company is ready to be acquired or go public if you start it now,
Yeah, and there's
So I think
a saying in the market, right? Good stuff gets built in the bull market, but great stuff get built in the bear market, right? Essentially, because
yeah.
so much competition, it's hard to get like resources, money, anything of that sort, right? So yeah, I think it's a great time for founders right now to kind of pick up their ideas, go back to the drawing board, figure out what they can do, and as you said, in a couple of years, maybe in 5, 6 years down the lane, could be like prime for acquisition or like for the steps. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great time to be an entrepreneur, just getting started, I think.
Yeah, sure. So again, in my time here as a startup coach, I've met with like many budding healthcare entrepreneurs at UCI. But what is your 3 pointers that you would kind of give to them of like where they could possibly get stuck, and how would they kind of overcome that?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So number one, at Y Combinator, we have a saying. We say, build something people want, And in healthcare, often if you're serving the patient or the hospital, it's building something people need. So the very first thing I can say is to make absolutely sure that you are spending a lot of time talking to your customers and understanding kind of what their difficulties are day in, day out will help you verify that, in fact, what you're building is absolutely necessary. Because I think that innovation that's absolutely necessary is what sees success. So
Agreed.
we
Yes.
also have, sometimes people come up with a solution and then they look for a problem to solve with that solution or that product. That usually doesn't go well. It's usually you want to identify the problem first. So, talking to your customers, I think, is enormously
Okay. Yeah.
important.
So you're saying identify a real need for what the problem is, potentially look forward to a product market fit, and that's the way to kind of go, is what you're saying then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second important thing is, look, eventually you'll have to go out and you'll have to fundraise to raise money, and don't let investors discourage you. You know, it's very natural to be rejected over and over again.
Yeah.
That's something that happens. Remember that at this point, you've already talked to a bunch of your customers. You've already validated the need for your product. So I think it's totally fine. I think it's great to continue to push on even in that face of doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the third thing is find teammates that you love working with. You know, even after so many years after the acquisition, after seeing whatever level of success I did, when I look back at things, the thing that I really miss the most and the memories that I cherish the most are the time that my team and I spent together. That was really,
Yeah.
you know, the best part of it. And if you can find a group of people that love working on hard things together,
Yeah.
I think amazing things can happen.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a great message. Just to kind of summarize, right? So you're saying, uh, find a great problem to solve, have the confidence to kind of solve it, and have a great team. Like enjoy the entire journey.
And talk to your customers. Talk to your customers to make sure that it's a good idea. That's how you get that confidence, is by
Listen to
talking
your
to the
customers.
customers.
The other
And
thing you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much, Surbhi, for taking the time to kind of speak with us today and sharing your insights on entrepreneurship, healthcare, and diversity inclusion. Your book, without a doubt, is an inspiring and valuable resource for anyone who's looking to overcome challenges and achieve their dreams. So how do you think our students can get hands-on with the book?
Well, I'm providing the book for free to all UC Irvine students. So it's usually $28 on Amazon. So the bookstore has made a specific link just for UC Irvine. All of the data is secure. I never actually see it. They maintain all of the data, all of the shipping addresses, and then you simply put your name and address down, and the book will show up.
Okay, that's great. That's we're so happy to have that opportunity. And I wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. This is a really fun discussion.
Yeah.